Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and I'm trying to get this out on a Wednesday, so hopefully this is coming out on a Wednesday. Today we're going to be reviewing the Porsche Cayman, wow, voice has gone a bit strange, the Porsche Cayman GT4 Clubsport. Now interestingly enough, this is in Porsche Pack 1, whilst the standard GT4 version is in Porsche Pack 2, which I am going to have a look at. So we're looking at the Club Sport version, which is basically the race version of this, and as you can see I'm taking it out on a bit of a track day at Circuit De Catalunya because it is one of my favourite circuits, and I just thought, you know, we've got a few GT4 cars, let's just see what this car's like, how does it compare, that kind of stuff. Anyway, leaving that behind, let's just move straight on to the specs. This is a 385 bhp vehicle with 420 Newton meters of torque and weighing in at 1,300 kilos. So they have managed to knock a little bit of weight off the standard Cayman GT4, which I think comes in at 1,350 kilos or something. But they have also managed to include all the race spec stuff. So you've got yourself your roll cages, you've got yourself a limited slip diff. You've got yourself a paddle shifted gearbox, which that does come in the GT4 as well. You can get a PDK with the dual clutch paddle shift transmission. However, this one does only have 6 gears as opposed to 7 on the actual normal Club Sport. So there is that. It's a rear differential lock, by the way, the differential, and it's designed for racing. Of course, this is a rear wheel drive, and just like the normal GT4 car, Cayman GT4, which is actually a road car, not a GT4 car. The Cayman GT4 is just like that. It comes with a flat 6 engine, which is taken straight from it, so it's 3.8 litres, and it's just got a few tweaks here and there to it, you know, getting it to where it needs to go and where it needs to be. I'm not going to say it's top speed simply because I think top speed can, you know, it can be altered around. In fact, I might as well just tell you what its top speed is. It's just shy. When I mean just shy, I mean pretty close to just shy of, and I've lost the figure. What was the figure? This is the second time I've done this, actually. I really should be writing these things down. It was, give me a few seconds. I know what it is in kilometers an hour, I just can't remember the conversion to miles an hour. It's 295 kilometers an hour, so that you can try and convert that to miles an hour if you wish. I think it's what? 165-ish or something like that, 165-ish on that. But like I said, it's one of these cars that it's supposed to be a road-going version of a race car, or a race-going version of a road car, sort of production race cars in a sense, just based off the chassis. You know what I'm doing? I'm just gonna get that correct. 185 miles an hour is its top speed. So there you go. My apologies. 0 to 60, you can't measure it because of the gear ratios. So, what is so good or so bad about this car? Well, in Assetto Corsa, it is a nice car. I'm gonna say it's a nice car. Again, you know, when you look at the modeling and the texturing, you can see it's very. It's really good standard. Really good standard of them. I love the liveries that they include. They're just like the real liveries, so that I love that. As you can see inside, it's got a lot of the Cayman GT4 stuff in there. I mean, it's got the same instrument cluster. You can see a lot of the panels are also the same. It's still got air conditioning vents, all that kind of stuff. But it also has this nice display in the middle where it actually has your lap times and whatnot. In fact, that actually covers where normally the clock would go, and you can see that it actually is covering one of the vents over there as well. So there you go. So it's like they've just upgraded bits and bobs of this car. What I do like about this car is the brakes. It has incredibly strong brakes, and you can really jam your foot hard down on the pedal, and it does slow down, it does stop. You don't tend to get the brakes heating up an incredible amount. And I know brake fade isn't really simulated in here yet, but I'm assured that this car doesn't have brake fade. or the pads are fadeless, as Porsche say. So it's a fairly good car in the braking sense. In the speed sense, 184 miles an hour, 185 miles an hour, nothing to sniff at. That's quite a high speed, especially for a car like this. I don't think it's not often you get it to that kind of speed, but there you go. I do quite like that. What else do I or do I not like about the car? Sounds wise, it's a lot more racy than the standard GT4. It's a lot more racy than the Cayman in itself. Like I said, I didn't like the Cayman sounds. That was the biggest knock on that, was that Cayman sounds. They just sounded wrong. Too much wind noise. Everything else was fine. It was just too much wind noise, and it was just deadening it out. Luckily, this doesn't have that issue. The noise is loud. It's raspy. You can tell what the car is. You can tell it's a flat six engine. You can tell it's direct injection. You know, you've got everything you need. You really have got everything you need there. However, then it comes down to performance and physics. And this is a knock on the actual car, because this is what the actual car is like. Whilst the car corners fairly alright, as you can see, I just had a minor oversteer moment there coming out of the corner. Because it's a rear-wheel drive, you will get a few of those. Whilst it corners okay going into the corners, it does have a tendency to start understeering mid-corner, and out of the corners you really need to jam on the throttle to try and dial out that understeer. I didn't like that. I did find it understeering. Apart from that, the acceleration is okay. It's nothing brilliant. As you can see, I just get on the tail of someone who's going into the pits. The acceleration is okay. It's, like I said, nothing brilliant. This is, of course, below a 911 GT3 or anything like that. It is in the class below. This is more of a sports car as opposed to a race car. Hence, you know, one of their club sports. But I don't know. What I didn't like about this car was its gear ratios. I found the gear ratios quite odd. I don't know whether this is something, whether it's just me or whether this is just a problem with the gear ratios, but I found the gear ratios of this car iffy. I didn't like it. So I mean, you can play around with them, so I would recommend doing that. You have to play around with the gear ratios, because the stock gear ratios are a bit dodgy. I don't like how tall some of the gears are. I don't like how, I just don't like how the gearbox performs on this in terms of the ratios. But the gearbox itself, going through the gears and stuff, very, very nice, very smooth. You don't feel any jolts or anything as you're going up the gears, so you don't have to worry about the rear wheel spinning up, because it really doesn't have that much power to get those rear wheels spinning up, considering the tires that it's on, the slick 19-inch tires that it's on. It's, it's pretty good. It is pretty good in that regard. What else to finish off? Any other minor notes I can note about this car? Suspension is pretty stiff, so you do want to be very careful. As you can see, everything's bouncing around. You do really get a sense of how stiff the suspension is on this vehicle, so do be careful when you're taking it on pretty harsh bumps. It does have a tendency to upset the car just a little bit, but nothing too major. Again, it does manage to grip the road fairly well. Perhaps a little too well, judging by the understeer that I was feeling. I think that with some setup changes, though, it would be easy to sort of dial that out. I'd say probably mess around with the anti-roll bar on the front or something, and see what that does. Maybe a little bit of camber as I crash over one of those sausage curbs. Right, what am I going to give this to end the episode? I think I'll have to give it, as a car that Kunos made, it's a 10 again. But as a car that I like, I'm going to knock it down to an 8, because there are things out of the box. It's not very nice. You do have to work on it. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa. Leave a comment in the comments box below. And join me for the next car that I'm going to test on the Porsche pack. I'll see you then.